Hello and welcome to the Cinementalist podcast for Cinementalist.com. My name's Andy. Sitting next to me is Floki, our bearded dragon mascot. Well, actually, he's hiding at the moment because he's brew mating.
He's what?
Do you know about brew mating?
No.
It's the lizard equivalent of like semi-hibernation.
Semi-hibernation?
Yeah, they go into this sort of dozy state where they sleep all the time and it freaks their owners out because you assume it's dead. But I have checked Floki and he's fine. But yeah, you won't be hearing much from him. Not that you ever do on the podcast.
Is he still going through his teen phase?
No, I mean he's virtually a fully grown adult now. But this year is the first time that he's brewmating, which has got probably just makes all bearded dragon owners shit themselves.
He's still a stroppy, sulky bastard who likes to shit you up.
Well, yeah, I mean, not much has changed there either, really. I mean, it's what's changed, but there you go. Yeah, and as you
once an arsehole, always an arsehole.
And as you probably guessed, sitting opposite me is Liam. How's it going, dude?
I'm fine, mate. I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah, just been, What about you?
Yeah, I've just been, Yeah, I've just been, We're a bit of serendipity on this one, actually. Just before Liam came over this evening, I decided that my beard had got too long and I'd trim it back. And then Liam turned up clean shaven.
Yeah.
So we're not the two film critics with film critic, pretentious dickhead beards anymore. We are remarkably, this is the closest I get to clean shaven.
I just couldn't be arsed with it anymore.
And I haven't seen your chin in a very long time.
Yeah, I know. I just, I was fed up of people were always asking me about the podcast and stuff and like that as well. And I was thinking to myself, like, it's just itchy. It gets far too uncontrollably wispy. And I do look like one of those pricks who have their faces, the picture of their face next to a review in The Guardian.
Yeah.
So I thought, fuck this.
Someone comes up to you and goes, Liam, what do you think of that film? You go, oh, well, listen to episode 83 and I think you'll find I went into a 20-minute diatribe.
Yes, there's lots of multisyllabic words in there. And
you probably won't understand.
You can explicitly hear me smelling my own farts.
Yes. I wonder if the mic would pick that up. Anyways, we have got a jam-packed show this evening for you, or whenever you're listening. It's evening for us. My TV review is, I think, going to take some time. I'm slightly trepidatious about this one. There's a good multi-syllable word for you.
Shitting bricks.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But rather handily, there's not a lot of film news this week. So I've got 3 pieces here that we're going to run through fairly quickly, and then you're going to do your reviews, and then I'm going to begin the assault that will be my review to finish off the podcast.
Another sort of tepid week for
just
exciting stuff on the cinematic front here.
Not a lot going on, mate. Yeah, I'll start off with this one. It's from filmnews.co.uk, who we lean on quite often, actually. There's some good articles, filmnews.co.uk. We're not paid by them, I promise. Michael Shannon to play Joseph McCarthy in biopic. Michael Shannon has been cast as controversial US Senator Joseph McCarthy in a biopic. The Nocturnal Animals actor has been tapped to lead the cast of McCarthy, which will chart the rise and fall of the notorious politician and show how he went from a lawyer and decorated former US Marine to the man behind the anti-communist doctrine McCarthyism, according to Deadline. He will be joined by Game of Thrones star Emilia Clarke, who will play McCarthy's wife, Jean Kerr. The Amazing Spider-Man 2's Dan DeHaan, who has been cast as the Senator's ruthless young lawyer, Roy Cohn. And Scoot McNairy, one of our favourite names on the podcast.
Scoot McNairy. I like Scoot McNairy.
I mean, it's such a fun name to me.
Yeah,
He's a very good actor as well. I just love saying Scoot McNairy. Scoot McNairy as his trusted friend and colleague, Ray Kiermas. The biopic is being directed by Vaclav Mahul from a script by Tom O'Connor. Filming is due to begin in late 2022 in Prague and America. The saga of Joe McCarthy is timeless and the drama behind his rise to power sobering, said producer Zach Studin in a statement. It is a powerful reminder to us all that truth and facts are the lifeblood of a free and open society. Tom's exceptional screenplay, Vaclav's uncompromising vision, and this remarkable ensemble gives the film the necessary foundation to properly explore this chilling and critical chapter of American history. I quite like the sound of all this.
It does sound quite interesting. I mean, I think like the McCarthyist witch hunts are a sort of indelibly, endlessly fascinating period of American history. I love Michael Shannon as an actor. So, yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled for that one. That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
You said it was all dry and boring. That's cool.
To be honest, This is probably my best article this week. I thought I'd lean in heavy. But
I've thought of one that I found out about recently.
Go on.
Well, Scott Derrickson, who directed like Sinister and The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which were there. He's actually got a new film coming out called The Black Phone, and it's based on a short story by Joe Hill, who is the son of Stephen King. And it's about a young kid who gets abducted by a sadistic psychopath known as the Grabber, played by Ethan Hawke, and is held captive in his house. And he discovers a black phone with which he's able to communicate with the Grabber's past victims who try and help him get him out of there. And the people who have seen it so far at festival screenings have lauded it as a very, very worthy, faithful adaptation of the original short story.
Fantastic. That sounds good.
And Joe Hill has been commended for sort of not imitating his dad's writing style so much, but just like there's been a sort of like legacy passed down. He's got his own kind of swing on things, but that taste for the macabre and the imagination's still there. So I think that film sounds amazing.
That sounds really good.
Ethan Hawke has a really twisted, diabolical freak. I'm all over that.
Yeah, for definite.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all.
I thought it sounded really cool.
Please do chip in. I mean, if I can't find film news, at least we've got a backup.
I'm definitely going to be watching that one as well, and I thought it sounded exciting. So
excellent. Second article here, also from filmnews.co.uk. James Gunn reveals cannibalistic Gilligan's Island reboot plans.
Okay.
Yeah. James Gunn and Charlie Kaufman want to reboot Gilligan's Island as a dark cannibalistic movie. The Guardians of the Galaxy filmmaker has revealed he tried to bring back the classic 1960s sitcom, which featured a group of people stranded on a deserted island, in a more sinister way, based on a script Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind writer Kaufman penned in the late 1990s. Taking part in a Twitter trend urging people to pitch a movie in 2 pictures, no caption, he shared snaps of the Gilligan's Island crew alongside an image showing cannibalism. He added underneath the post, "A true story. In the late 90s, screenwriting goat Charlie Kaufman pitched a movie version of Gilligan's Island where the islanders, starving and desperate, started killing and eating each other. Warner Brothers wanted to do it, but Sherwood Schwartz, the creator, said no way. He then tried to bring back the idea after the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie in 2014, but again the pitch was met with some resistance after Schwartz's death 3 years earlier. Gunn continued, "After Guardians, I tried to resurrect the idea and wanted to direct. It seems Warners and Charlie were interested, but this time the estate of the late Sherwood Schwartz nixed it. Anyway, if the Schwartz estate changes their mind, I'm ready to go."
So this isn't something that's actually anywhere near happening then?
Well, no, but it seems like he's actually really genuinely pushing for it. I think he's testing the waters, going, what... I guess Twitter's kind of ideal for filmmakers in this way, is you can put it out there and see, you can always take, if that gets 1 million retweets or whatever, you can always take that to the studio, can't you, and say, look, people like the concept.
Yeah, true. And fair enough if Kaufman actually wrote it in the 90s, but what was it? It was only a little while ago now, where they did the film of Fantasy Island, where it was rebooted as...
Yeah, you hated that, I seem to remember.
It was diabolical trash, absolutely.
There's also a new TV series, a new streaming series based on Fantasy Island as well. It just seems to keep coming back up, that concept. I much prefer the idea of Gilligan's Island except cannibals. I think that's quite a cool pitch. I get why the original creator was unhappy, because he had them sort of building a utopia, didn't he? I think that was the message behind it. Whereas this time it sounds a bit Lord of the Flies, to be quite honest. I mean, it didn't have the cannibalism thing, but people get stranded on an island and everything goes horribly, horribly wrong.
It's one of the great actual sort of weird mysteries, that, isn't it? Like everyone, like Lord of the Flies, like, oh, you mean the ones about the kids who go and become cannibals? Like, no.
No,
they get stranded, and there are deaths.
It sort of seems like, without the ending of the book being what it is, which I won't spoil for the 3 people that haven't read it and weren't forced to at school, but without that ending, it may well have gone down that route. It was certainly descending into anarchy, and that was the point of the book, wasn't it?
Yeah, like civilization versus barbarism, and the fact that it's a bunch of kids arguably makes it all the more disturbing. But like nobody actually, from my recollection at least, nobody actually gets eaten.
No.
There's still very unpleasant, disturbing shit that happens.
It's more about ritualistic attempted murder and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I quite like the concept, and I quite like to see James Gunn direct it.
Fuck it.
I like that he leans towards the controversial sometimes.
James Gunn teaming up with Charlie Kaufman that's a strange one.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I think it'll work. I really, really do. And my last article here. Oh, God. You know how much I like Ridley Scott?
Yes.
Oh, we both like Ridley Scott.
I do. I certainly do like Ridley Scott.
Yes. Well, I like Ridley Scott a lot. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker. He does have a tendency to run his mouth sometimes, though.
He's a little bit ornery from time to time.
Yeah. And, you can't really blame him. He's been around the block a few times. But anyway, Ridley Scott says the upcoming Alien television show on FX will never be as good as the first movie. It's really, I could go into the article if you like, but that's essentially the entire thing here, is that there is about to be a new Alien TV series, which Ridley Scott is directly involved with, by the way. He's actually a producer and overseeing and this kind of thing. And he's rubbished it already, saying it won't be as good as my film. And as much as I like Ridley Scott, and I do find him funny because he does crop up occasionally and just say something really, really blunt. He's a very blunt person. Rubbishing the TV show that you're working on by comparing it to a piece of work that you created that is regarded as seminal and saying, well, these guys aren't as good as me, is more than a little bit egotistical, I think.
What if, and this is just, throwing a hypothesis out there, what if he's actually attempting some reverse psychology on the people he's making the show with?
Yeah, do better. Yeah.
We actually have to improve, we have to make this is it a mini series or is it
It's a full-on series, apparently, for FX. Yeah, although no one really knows.
So not all of it has actually been filmed yet?
It's all sort of shrouded in mystery, this one. It's just constantly described by FX as an upcoming project. I think they are underway shooting.
Because if it's going to be a long-running series and he's involved with it, maybe he's just trying to fuck with them so he can get the best out of them.
Yeah, it's possible.
I like to think that maybe Ridley Scott's just being a massive fucking dickhead.
It could also be that as well. Yeah, I mean, he is in his 80s and he's known for being, I've watched a lot of interviews.
Cranky.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of interviews with him. I've seen a lot of behind the scenes with him. And I think his primary quality, other than being a genuine auteur, I would argue, in fact, I wrote a college thesis on Ridley Scott, his candidacy for authorship. But one of his primary qualities, I think, is being impatient. He's desperate. So he's always is ranting about how he hates the fact that actors can do multiple films a year, whereas he works as fast as he possibly can. He's like, well, I can only manage 2, which is still amazing for a director to put out like 2 films a year, sometimes 3 films a year as well. But he is not a patient man. And he doesn't suffer fools gladly. And it sounds like he doesn't like the way the Alien TV series is going. But there we go. Perhaps it would be better if he just let it be and let the audience and the critics decide when it comes out. Because, I mean, anything Alien, I'm interested. I'll be all over that when it comes out.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I mean, I can't actually say I'm in the least bit surprised that I've heard him say that because we have discussed, we've done a special on Ridley and even there we mentioned about how he does have he just doesn't really give any fucks.
No.
If something's on his mind, he will spell it out as bluntly as you like, so you never have to wonder where you stand with him.
Indeed. No fucks given. Yes, absolutely. Anyway, yes, I told you it'd be a short news segment this week. Anyway, Liam, this is the part where you give us 2 film reviews.
It is, isn't it?
What do you have for us this week?
Okay, so first up, we've got a Kiwi picture. This is one I've been looking forward to for a considerable amount of time, actually. This is Coming Home in the Dark. Now, I first heard this movie announced, probably late 2019. And, I saw the poster, I saw some Twitter posts about it and read the synopsis and I thought, well, that sounds like a bit of me. And then I've had to wait fucking ages for it to come out. But it finally got a wide release, including on the internet. And I stuck it on not too long ago. This is based on a short story by the acclaimed New Zealand novelist Owen Marshall. And this is the story of a man named Hoagie, played by Eric Thompson. Hoagie is a school teacher in his, I'd say, mid to late 50s. Hoagie's a nickname. I can't remember his fucking first name, but his surname is Hoganrod. It's like a Dutch surname. So as a shorthand, people call it him Hoagie. Also seems like a very sort of Antipodean thing to do. It's the kind of thing that Australians and New Zealanders, they just be like, oh, well, you got a fucking long name, mate. We'll just retract it like that. So Hoagie, he's on a driving holiday with his girlfriend, Jill, played by Miriam McDowell. Jill is a teacher, like he is at the same academic institution. And Jill's 2 sons, her 2 boys in their early teens. And they're just making their way across country, across the New Zealand countryside, which, if you've ever just glimpsed pictures of rural New Zealand, it's pretty damn bloody gorgeous. I've never been there myself, but
it always looks absolutely stunning.
Oh, absolutely. And right from the off, as soon as the film opens, Just the cinematography. I mean, the DP has done a stellar job here, just capturing that kind of wild, mysterious, just really intoxicating expanse of the whole fucking thing. All of those hilly terrain and the lakes and the crooks and all that shit. It just looks absolutely brilliant. So they're going along in their Jeep and they're sort of chilling out, having a good time, stopping by, getting some snacks and stuff and playfully bickering. And then they sit down by this gorgeous lake to have a picnic. And the boys are sort of fucking about, and Hoagie and Jill kind of, they're just cozying up to each other in that nice sort of warm coupley way. When suddenly these two strange blokes happen upon them. Now, Jill's younger son, a bit early on, he's looking up. They're walking through a gorge, and he looks up at a cliff top and sees two figures staring down at the family before just abruptly walking off. And when they're later having this picnic, these two individuals arrive, and they are Mandrake, as played by Daniel Gillies, and Tubbs, played by Matthias Lafutu. And Mandrake is a white, bearded white New Zealander dressed in a sort of long overcoat, carrying a sawn-off double-barrel shotgun. And Tubbs is his Maori accomplice, who, for the most part, he hardly says a word. One of those won't say 5 words unless you beg him sort of people. And right from the off, these guys are pretty damn weird and menacing. And they eventually end up taking Hoagie hostage. And the reason they take him hostage is not just an incidental piece of kidnapping, robbery, or, just a wild, impromptu, sadistic trip where they're going to do God knows what for God knows why. This is actually related to Hoagie's profession. He's done a lot of teaching. He's done a lot of posts around a lot of educational establishments in the country. And the reason that Mandrake and Tubbs have a bone to pick with Hoagie is related to a post that he had long ago. And so they bundle him and his family into the Jeep, and they take off into the dusk, and it all just kind of escalates from there. Pretty bog standard setup, yeah.
Yeah, quite straightforward.
I was glad that I was looking forward to this film considerably, because I personally felt handsomely rewarded. This is a really, really rich and smart, but very fucking heavy piece of work. Right from the off, as soon as the two antagonistic parties are introduced into it, really shocking stuff starts to happen. And there is this, I'd say this film is just full to the brim with viscera. Not figurative viscera, mind you, because this is actually very light on the gore. It doesn't have loads of splatter, lots of extreme violence, but the physical violence that is depicted, it comes out of nowhere. So there's an act early on that's made me sit back and go, wow, okay, fucking hell, they're really not pulling any punches with this one, are they? And just the verbal viscera as well. This film is primarily examining a quartet of characters, all of whom are deeply flawed in their respective ways. And I really, really commend it for the way that it fucks with the audience's expectations of who they're going to allocate, who they're going to empathize with, who are they going to allocate integrity to? Because Hoagie, yeah, he's very well played by Eric Thompson, actually, because he just seems like this sort of very even-tempered, run-of-the-mill, kind of reasonably down-to-earth and nice guy, just out with his, essentially his adopted family. And then things start coming to light about him, which really make you question your outset emotional investment in him. Daniel Gillies as the central villain Mandrake. He communicates some psychopathy in this very, very restrained way. It almost goes a bit mumblecore at times, but he just has this very sedate, very chill demeanor, which makes his actions extraordinarily frightening. But the more that is revealed about him and his experiences along the way, the more you start to develop this weird kind of sympathy for him, because one thing that Coming Home in the Dark does, and it does it in a very compact and sort of respectably abrasive way, it sort of raises questions about free will. Like, how much responsibility does a person have for their antisocial actions if their personality was formed by horrendous levels of abuse? can you really say that they are fully in control of the way that, you know, their mind, with the way that their motivations for, you know, are they in full possession of those faculties? You know, could they really behave any other way? I think it really raises some very, very stimulating food for thought, but it is a rough go. This film doesn't give any fucks. There are a lot of shocking things that happen in it. It's going to make you feel pretty grim if you do decide to watch it, but I would highly recommend it. Very well shot, very well acted. Raises some very, very intriguing and, as I said, stimulating moral dilemmas. And it also has a very kind of weirdly poignant, if brutal, climax. And I really, really liked it a lot.
Oh, cool.
So
Sounds like I was about to say a nice little movie to check out. A movie to check out that is not very nice, but very interesting.
Yeah, not very nice, but absolutely very interesting because, I really do like the way it eschews formulaic depictions of screen psychopaths. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love stuff like Rook Guy and The Hitcher and stuff like that. But here you're dealing with people who, whilst very, very dangerous, it communicates the facts that they're not like that for no reason. And I think it does it in a very, very refined and subtle way. And at no point is the audience's hand guided through, this is how you should think and feel about this. It just briskly takes you on this very, very harrowing journey. And it just plonks you in the hot seat. It's like, well, what would you have done? What do you think about this? Is this justifiable? Shouldn't this be answered for? Yeah, so I really, really rate Coming Home in the Dark, and anyone who wants a stimulating thriller and has an ironclad stomach, I couldn't recommend it highly enough.
Good stuff.
And then next up, we have got The Nighthouse. This is a new psychological horror directed by David Bruckner. And this stars Rebecca Hall as a young lady named Beth. I've always liked Rebecca Hall a lot. She's great in like The Town and many other things. And she's pretty shit hot an American accent for an English woman, although there might be Americans listening who. So
you're never sure, are you?
Yeah, because I'm not American, so I feel like I don't have the authority to speak. But she sounds convincing enough to me.
Yeah,
so like,
two Brits bought it.
Yeah. Sounds convincing enough to me. But Rebecca Hall plays Beth, and she's a young woman. She's a teacher. And unfortunately, tragedy has recently befallen her because her husband, Owen, played by Evan Yonikite, he recently took their boat out onto the lake near their house and he stuck his pistol in his mouth and blew his own brains out. So the opening of the film depicts her coming home from his funeral. And she puts on this record, and this is a song that's used for a motif throughout the film. And I've never heard this song before, but I'm so glad to be introduced to it because it's a lovely piece of music. She puts on a song called Calvary Cross by Richard Thompson, who is a bit of an obscure British folk artist. It's a really, really brilliantly emotional song, and it was their wedding song. And so she's playing that and watching footage of their wedding day and sort of thinking about him and drowning her sorrows in copious amounts of wine. And just trying to get the fuck over it. She returns to work seemingly far too early and is essentially just wearing her trauma on her sleeve. Like, even though this has obviously affected Beth egregiously, this event, she is a fucking tough cookie. She's managing to keep a sort of armor about her. Even though it might, however brittle it might seem, and she does get very spiky if people push her too hard. So right off the bat, we have Rebecca Hall playing Beth not as this consummate victim who falls to pieces at every moment. It's obvious, this is quite I think a very interesting and robust portrayal of trauma. Somebody who's suffered this kind of horrific tragedy, but after a while, after Beth is just trying to get over this shock. This very immediate shock, however well you could get over something like that and, in what duration it would take you. Beth starts to experience some very weird shit around the house. Shall we say paranormal phenomena. She starts hearing knocks in the walls, weird whispery voices. She looks at things in a certain way and thinks that she sees outlines of certain things that aren't actually there. She'll be in the shower and that aforementioned song will just start blasting through the stereo system for no particular reason whatsoever when no one else is in the house. And so Beth starts really getting spooked. and she consults some of her colleagues and friends and friendly neighbor, and just like says, I think something really fucking weird is going on in the house. But everyone says, look, you've suffered this appalling tragedy. You're stressed out. You're heartbroken. Your mind is fucking with you. What you need to do, you shouldn't have even gone back to work, really. You need to stay at home. You need to maybe go and speak to someone. You need to really chill out. But then all of this weird supernatural shit starts escalating, and Beth cannot help but start digging around. And she starts going through Owen's things. She goes into his personal study and just starts finding out about things. And she discovers that Owen might have been up to some less than savory shit. And his suicide note, he left her a very elliptical suicide note. It says, you were right. There is nothing. Nothing is after you. You are safe now. Which initially, along with the audience, people, you're like, okay, what the fuck? It ties in with a near-death experience that Beth had when she was much younger. And, you know, that near-death experience and her husband's death and the bizarre shit that's occurring around the house, it's all unified by a particular thing. And it's this mystery that essentially is what Beth has to unravel. Now, a lot of people might be listening to this synopsis and think, oh, it sounds like you're sort of fucking, you know, pick one out of a hat kind of haunted house film, spouse dead, weird shit's going on, blah, 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 tenant penny. And that's where you'd be wrong. This is a really, really great piece of work, The Nighthouse. Rebecca Hall is absolutely on fire. Absolutely knockout performance. I bought every second of her performance as Beth. There are virtually no jump scares whatsoever. There's no jump scares. There's no gore. This is a movie that I'd say rightfully takes its place along the 21st century's run of smart horrors. Hereditary, Midsummer, The Babadook, It Follows, The Witch. It's heavily steeped in emotion. This is a very, very moving film, I found. Incredibly replete with strong and authentic poignancy. And really, really smart writing in regards to the antagonistic forces that are plaguing her. There's a lot of metaphysics in this. There's a lot of real thought-provoking stuff about life after death, and a lot of conceptual stuff about what kind of stuff exists beyond. Is it good? Is it evil? Is it neutral? Is it nothing? Is it a void? You know, in what ways can it maybe permeate this world? Really, really fascinating stuff exercised there. And yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed this film. And it is a massive cut above all of the, the slew. You could write the synopsis on a paper and people would match it up with something made by fucking, whoever makes all the, what do you call them? The shit, the shit, the shit. Like,
just gonna call it the shit in general.
Yeah, okay, like the kind of okay, even though we spoke favorably, even though I spoke kind of favorably about *Malignant*, the shitty shit that someone like James Wan makes, something like James
jump scare based,
something like
quite trashy plot,
something like Dead Silence, or and other stuff like that. Fucking
wants to go deeper than
that. What is it? The Grudge was ceremony. All the shitty shit. The Nighthouse is not like that at all. This is a very
bit more high concept.
Yeah, and it's genuinely spooky. It's really, really richly shot, and I've found it genuinely unnerving. And there are not really what I would call jump scares, but the moments that startle you, it earns them and it places them cleverly and considerately. And the shocks come along. They enrich the story. They fill it up with cinematic goodness. And this if you want a smart horror, if you want a movie that will actually make you feel creeped out, but also one that will also stir you emotionally and cerebrally. I think The Nighthouse does a great job. Really, really liked this film, and I would definitely watch it again. And fans of smart horror out there, this one will give you the goods. So yeah, check it out, please.
Excellent. Okay then, well, TV of the week, and boy, have I got an uphill struggle coming up here. This was released in 2018 on Netflix, and it's a German production and is billed as a German science fiction thriller streaming television series.
This isn't dark, is it?
It is indeed.
I've
dark.
heard of this, but I've never seen it.
It has quite a reputation, dark.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And I never got around to it. And there's a bit of a lull in the TV scheduling and the streaming scheduling at the moment, where we all had the mass hysteria of Squid Game, and it's all gone a bit quiet. You get these sort of bumps, especially in mid-October. I find there is that kind of drop down where everyone's got the winter releases are coming, but there's that lull. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a go because I'd heard so many good things about it. And now I have to review it. And it has one of the most confounding plots. And I'll get into later what that means in terms of viewership of the show and how that comes across. But as a reviewer, I mean, normally when I do a TV of the week, I have very few notes in front of me. I've normally just got a list of the cast that I reference along the way to make sure I get people's names right and which character, who's playing who and that kind of stuff. With this, I literally had to go back and watch the first episode again today. I'm halfway through season 2 at the moment. I had to go all the way back to season 1, episode 1, watch it again and make notes, which I've never had to do for a TV series before. Normally they stick in my brain. And it's not that the show is bad and doesn't stick. It's just there is so much going on. So what I've done, what you're about to hear, is a rundown of what happens in episode 1, most of what happens in episode 1. I have left out a few characters. I've tried to get it down to sort of the crux of the plot, which is damn near impossible, by the way. But I've made an attempt. And strap in. Make yourself comfy, make a cup of tea, and sit down and let Andy tell you about one of the most confounding TV shows he's ever watched. Are you ready?
Indeed. Sitting
comfortably. Good. Okay, so Dark. This opens with some ominous music, as you would expect, and an establishing shot of the sun rising over the German forest, over the small town of Winden. And we get a voiceover, and the voiceover says thus: "We trust that time is linear, that it proceeds eternally, uniformly into infinity. But the distinction between past, present, and future is nothing but an illusion. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow are not consecutive. They are connected in a never-ending circle. Everything is connected." We then get a title card, and we learn that it is June 21st, 2019. And we see a man in a rundown attic, and he's licking and closing an envelope with these sort of screeching strings behind him. He takes a chair, places it in the middle of the room, and stands on it. And as the camera moves back, it reveals a rope above him. He places the rope around his neck, and he hangs himself, quite graphically. And as he's struggling on the rope, the camera zooms into the letter. And on the front of it is written in German, obviously, and the usual caveat here, please do watch with the subtitles, not the fucking dubbing. It defaults to subtitles for a reason. But it says on the front of the letter in German, "Do not open before November 4th, 10:13 p.m. And the camera pans to a photo next to the letter of this man's family. There's a woman, a teenage boy, the hanged man, and an older woman. And they're posing in front of a Christmas tree. It's obviously a snap taken at Christmas. So we get a smash cut. We have the first of our lead characters. This is Jonas, played by Louis Hoffman. And he's the teenage boy in the photograph. And we find him sitting up in bed as if he's just had a nightmare. And he's breathing heavily. He gets up and he takes some pills from a medication bottle next to him. And the credits roll. Now, these are some really, really hallucinogenic, trippy credits. I mean, it's sort of mirror images and that's that kind of stuff that Kubrick used to experiment with colors on a glass plate and a camera above them pulling in and out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Really, really trippy, hallucinogenic credits. And we get the title, of course, Dark. So we're back to Jonas. He's in his kitchen now and he opens the fridge and he realizes that the power's out. So he calls upstairs to his mother. His mother's name's Hannah and she's played by Marja Schoen. And we also recognize her as the woman in the photograph next to the hanging man. He's yelling upstairs that the power's off. Unfortunately, his mother is having sex with the third of our main characters. This is Ulrich, played by Oliver Masucci. Ulrich and Hannah begin to get dressed. They've been interrupted in their lovemaking. And Ulrich asks Hannah if she's coming to the town meeting tonight, and she says she will. She tells Ulrich she loves him, and he responds, "You're beautiful." So I think we can guess.
As you do.
Yeah. Guess what kind of relationship we got going on here. I mean, just around the point home. Ulrich then leaves via the upstairs balcony. He literally climbs out the fucking window. So this is very obviously some form of tryst going on here. This is an illicit lovemaking that his mother is involved with upstairs. Hannah finishes getting herself ready and she looks over to a photo that's pinned on the wall. And it's the same photo shown next to the hanged man, except the older woman on the far right of the photo has been ripped off. So we get another cut. And now we're seeing Jonas riding his bike through the German woodlands on his way to school. And on the way, he passes the town's nuclear power plant. And he pauses for a minute to look at the huge cooling towers looming up through the forest. And there is a poster attached to a lamppost. It's a missing persons poster with a picture of a boy with bright red hair about Jonah's age. And his name is Eric Obendorf. And Jonas looks at the poster for a few seconds and then continues on his way. So this boy is missing, obviously, and there's a campaign in town to look for him. We cut back to Ulrich, and he's now jogging. After he's jumped out the window after having sex with Jonas's mum, he's now jogging his way through the German woodland with his hoodie.
Fucking hell, he's got a lot of energy and stamina.
I know, right? Early morning sex and then you go for a jog. I mean, that might be the German way. I really don't know. But anyway, yes, he's jogging through the woodlands. And he passes an ominous-looking cave entrance buried deep into a rock face. This is the most ominous of ominous caves.
I always hate it when that happens.
It is essentially a black hole cut into the side of this rock. And as he passes by, the camera pauses on this cave opening. It slowly tracks into the cave mouth, and we get this really distorted rush of air and a very perceptible deep rumbling scream coming from the mouth of this cave. So, cut back to Jonas, and he's stopped off on his way to school to meet with his therapist. And they're walking through the woods together, discussing the suicide of his father. Of course, Jonas being in the photo and the man in the photo being the hanged man. This was the suicide of his father some time ago. They're walking through the woods, talking together about his therapy sessions and how things are going and does he feel ready to go back to school. And Jonas talks about how he's been seeing his father in his dreams. And he's certain that his father is trying to tell him something. The therapist starts talking to him about it and starts thinking, and starts saying, if you spoke to your father again, what would you say? What do you think he'd say? And Jonas starts to lose his temper. He starts to get really angry and distressed because as far as Jonas is concerned, his father just mysteriously killed himself one day and there was no note. We then cut to an older lady sitting in our home. She's the woman in the photograph from earlier that Hannah ripped off the page. Remember, so there was the right side of the photo was missing.
Yeah.
She's recognizably this lady. And she's sitting at a kitchen table in front of a box. And she tentatively opens the box. And inside is the mysterious letter. She reads the front again. Do not open before November 4th, 10:13 p.m. And she looks wistful and distressed. And she turns on the radio and stares out the window. And she's listening to a radio program discussing the town's nuclear power plant and how it's due to be decommissioned very soon. Are you following me at this point? I realize we're sort of bouncing around all over the place, but this is what the show does.
I'm following you. I'm following you so far. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try this for size. So back to Ulrich. He's made it back home from his jog to his actual family.
Dirty bastards.
Yes, they're all getting ready at the breakfast table. We have his wife, Katharina, who's played by Jordis Trebell. His young son, Mikkel, played by Dan Leonard Liebrentz. His daughter, Martha, who's sort of teenage age, she's played by Lisa Vicari. And his eldest son, Magnus, who's played by Moritz Jahn. And they're all having breakfast together, squabbling between each other about the day ahead. You know how families do. There's sort of toast and jam and mother's trying to fix the table and the teenage girl's arguing with the young boy. And it's a sort of a scene of, recognizable scene of family chaos. And Mikkel is very excited that his dad's home because he wants to talk to him about a new magic trick that he's learnt. He really, really idolizes Harry Houdini. It's the only person he talks about. He's desperate to be a magician when he's older. And he shows his dad a simple magic trick. It's the basic 2 cups on the table and the hidden ball trick. You put the ball under one cup, you create a distraction, you lift up the cup and the ball is moved to the other one. You know, I think it's called Find the Lady in the US, so it's cup and ball in the UK or whatever. And Ulrich is very impressed with his young boy's magic trick and he says, how did you do that? And Mikkel responds, the question is not how, but when. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh.
We're getting some foreshadowing and theming going on here. So, back to Jonas. He's finally arrived at school and he's very nervous about walking back in. He's had 2 months off to recuperate after the suicide of his father. And he's met outside by his friend Bartos, who's played by Paul Lux. Bartos knows that Jonas has had time off for like the family loss, but he's covered for him while he's been away. He's been telling everyone that Jonas has been away in France, shagging French women and eating baguettes, which is, he's done him a solid, essentially.
That's a good pal right there.
Yeah, but he's pleased to see him back and everything, and they're not going to discuss the horrible events he's been through. They just want things to get back to normal. And as they walk into the school, the camera again focuses on another missing poster showing the young red-headed boy, Eric, from outside the power plant earlier. Back to Ulrich again. He's gone to work, and wouldn't you believe it, such is the way of these things, he's a police detective. And as he gets into work, he finds his partner, Charlotte, who's played by Caroline Eichhorn, confronted by Eric's parents, who've turned up at the police station and are very, very upset that their boy has been missing now for 13 days, and the police have absolutely no leads whatsoever. So Ulrich separates the parents from his partner, and he hugs the grieving mother. And he's obviously very deeply emotionally upset by what's happened to them. And he calms them down. He says, look, we're trying our best here. We don't have any leads, but believe me, we're doing everything we possibly can to find your son. We then cut back to the ominous cave. And this time we're looking out from the entrance towards the woodland. And we see a shadowy hooded figure emerge from the cave entrance into the misty woods ahead. This is like an 8-second shot, I'd say. There's got so many cuts. I keep saying there's a cut to, and then there's a cut to, there's a cut to. Believe me, there's millions of them. But we've now got a shadowy hooded figure coming out from the mysterious cave. So it's at this point where I'm going to jump forward a little bit, because there are about 5 or 6 other plot lines that are introduced at this point in the episode. And if I was to cover all of them, number 1, you'd be bored. And number 2, I think it would actually be getting away from the cut and thrust of the show. These plot lines that are coming in now become much clearer later on, but they're left as hanging threads at the start. So I hope you'll forgive me for the purposes of brevity and for the purpose of making this thing move. I'm going to just jump forward a little bit to a crucial event. Are we all okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
So Ulrich goes to visit his mother, and they discuss his past. It turns out that Ulrich, when he was younger, his brother went missing. Hence his hug of the grieving mother earlier. This case is actually bringing up painful memories for him that he too has experienced a family member just disappearing off into the ether. We also learn that Eric, the missing boy, was the town's drug dealer. Bartos, Jonas's mate, thinks that he may well have left his stash somewhere near the entrance to the mysterious cave. The cave is like a local landmark in town. Everyone knows about it, but no one goes into it because it's labyrinthian and people get lost there and it's just a dangerous place to be. But Bartos is absolutely convinced this is where Eric would have left his stash. And seeing as Eric's gone missing, then surely he won't mind if Bartos and Jonas go and smoke some of his weed.
It'd be rude not to.
It would be rude not to, absolutely. So Jonas and Bartos, along with Magnus and Martha, Ulrich's kids, decide they'll go to the cave entrance later that evening while the rest of the town is attending a town meeting to discuss Eric's disappearance. We also see a scene at a local retirement home where an old man sitting in his easy chair begins to mutter to himself. And he's repeating over and over, "It's going to happen again." So that evening, our young teenagers meet up in the woods to go and retrieve Eric's drug stash. And they find to their annoyance that Mikkel, Magnus's younger brother, the one that's obsessed with Houdini, has decided to tag along with them, as young, annoying little brothers have a tendency to do. And reluctantly, they decide that, he does the whole classic thing of, I'll tell mum and dad what you're up to. He goes, the teenagers go, okay, fine, come with us. So they make their way into the woods. We cut back at this point to the older woman from earlier, the one in possession of the letter, and she's eyeing the clock. Eventually, it reads 10:14, and slowly and with trepidation, she opens the mysterious envelope. Meanwhile, at the local town hall, the townsfolk have gathered to have their meeting about the disappearance of Eric. And Charlotte, the police officer, is explaining to the attendees that although they're working as hard as they can, they don't have any leads. If anyone has any information, they should come forward. And the townspeople are pretty pissed off at this point. They go, look, this kid's missing. What are you guys doing about it? The police around here are useless. Why have you called us all here to tell us you have no information? You're relying on us. And it starts to kick off a little bit. Suddenly, a door swings open at the back of the room and everyone turns to look. And it's the old man from the retirement home shuffling towards them in his pajamas. Everyone goes quiet. And he announces to the group, it's all going to happen again. Back to our teenagers. They're outside the cave now, and there is a broken armchair left out in the woods. And they search the chair, and they find Eric's stash of drugs. As they're arguing over who should take it, there is a sudden crash coming from inside the cave, and everyone goes quiet. Suddenly, there's another crash, and their flashlights begin to flicker. Inside the cave entrance, one of them is pretty certain they can see someone moving around inside. So they all panic. Jonas grabs Mikkel, and they all run into the woods. We cut back to the old lady with the letter. And as she's reading the words, which is not revealed to the audience at this point, she breaks down, absolutely sobbing in tears and in bits as she reads this mysterious note. So Jonas is now running through the woods. He's stumbling between the trees. He loses his footing and he trips over. And as he stands up, he realizes he's become separated from Mikkel. And as he's searching around the trees, looking for him, he becomes aware of a presence quietly whispering his name. He can hear this Jonas in the distance. And as he spins his flashlight round, there's a figure approaching. And as the flashlight lights him up, he realizes it's his father with his face soaked in blood. And understandably, he runs the fuck away, because you would. On a street outside the woodlands, the teenagers regroup. And as they get their bearings, they realize that Mikkel is now missing. We cut back to the old man standing outside the meeting hall, and he's now staring up at the rain. And he mutters 2 words, too late. And that is my plot set up for Dark. And if you thought that was a bit robotic, I'm sorry, but you do fucking better. Because believe me, I had to leave out a lot to get to that point. I mean, this show is dense. Now, as you've probably guessed from the opening statement at the start of this review, that opening bit of text about time and everything being connected, past, present, and future, they're all the same thing. We are dealing with time travel here. That's not too much of a giveaway. What this show does is unbelievably clever. I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface here as to where it goes next. What it starts to do is jump between time periods. Not only that, characters start to jump between time periods. And not only that, but characters that you become accustomed to and you start to learn the backstory of start appearing in different timelines played by different actors because they are younger or older, depending on which way it jumped in time. Combine that with about, I'd say, a good 15 narratives going on, and you have an unbelievably supermassive black hole density of a singularity of a show. I mean, my God, this thing is thick. I'll tell you what watching this show is like, actually. You know, on a tennis court, you've got those machines where you can practice tennis by yourself and it fires balls at you and you return the serve. Watching this show is like having one of those machines firing balls at you, most of which are missing you. And then occasionally you hit one and you bat it back the other way. And every time you hit one successfully, and you go, oh yeah, got that one. It fires 3 more at you that are twice as fast. I mean, it is mystery after mystery after mystery. And I'm telling you something now, it is so clever, this thing. I mean, not only is it mystery on top of mystery on top of mystery, it doesn't fall into that trope of throwing you lots of red herrings and false avenues. It actually does something far cleverer, which is it realizes how dense it is. So it doesn't need to throw you any false clues. Everything is significant. It's relying on the fact that because it's throwing so many at you, you don't need to wonder about whether that's actually going to come into play later, because it will, but it won't matter because you've got 10 more to think about by then and you would have forgotten about the original mystery. Which is just writing on a level that you very, very rarely see. Not only that, there's the theming. I mean, what this show wants to talk about is so huge. I mean, a lot of shows pretend that they've got a high concept. And actually, in reality, what they're doing is the classic timey-wimey stuff. This is doing timey-wimey stuff to a level that is existential, and it's drawing on really deep philosophical concepts. I mean, not only is there, as you would expect, the whole free will, determinism, there's also very recognizable German nihilism at work in here as well. It's pulling from Kant and Nietzsche, that kind of stuff. And it does it so deftly and so often that it just becomes sort of par for the course. It's got so many clever concepts where it's just like, you know how some shows talk down to you? This show talks up to you. It goes, look, no, you can keep up with this. You can keep up with it. Just pay more attention, which I absolutely adore when a show does that. How it's managed to balance all of this narrative stacking and all of this high concept stuff without becoming a confused, convoluted mess is beyond me. I find this show very, very difficult to explain. Like I said, start watching it yourself and see if you can explain it in 20 minutes, because that's the only way I could find to do it. Normally, I'm good at this sort of thing. Normally, I can sit there and go, yeah, I can rattle off the plot for that in an entertaining way. With this, I literally had to go back and make notes, because if I got any of that wrong or in the wrong order, you'd actually break the timeline of what later becomes extremely important. Again, it's really important to reinforce. This show throws so many things at you, and all of them are significant, which means if you do pay attention and you do follow it, it gives you those, we've talked about them before, the warm fizzes. You know, when you make a connection in your brain, you go, oh, that's very clever. I see why that meant that. And he said that to her and she reacted like that. I see that now because she would have thought this because he was over there. This show does that to a degree I've never seen another TV series do. It's that thick.
Is it one of those shows that just gives you that fucking electric feel all over, is it? Like
very, very often. It's got a wonderful way of using split screens as well to put characters from different time periods next to each other. So the fact that they're using obviously different actors for the same character, one younger, one older, and sometimes older than that. They like to do split screens occasionally to reinforce to the audience that this person is the same person as that person. I feel like I said person far too many times. But it does it in a really buzzy, clicky kind of way. It doesn't make you go, hang on a minute, I've lost track. It makes you go, oh man, that's clever. This is one of those shows that if I would actually really, really recommend you watching it alongside somebody else, because then you get to theorize along the way. And there are so many theories. There are so many, there's almost like no wrong answers to this.
How many seasons are there?
So there are 3 seasons in total. The first season has 10 episodes, the second season 8 episodes, and the third season I believe has 8 episodes. And I'm halfway through season 2. And I'm very, very pleased to report that season 1 is absolutely batshit and ends on a note you absolutely will not expect. And season 2, again, I'm only halfway through, it goes even madder than that. This show never, ever runs out of ideas. It never panders to its audience. It never slows down for a second even to let you breathe. And with lesser writing, it will be a massive disjointed mess. Somehow it manages to maintain coherence throughout it. I mean, if I wanted to talk about this show really in depth and give it perhaps the justice it deserves as a piece of work, we'd need hours. I mean, you could do a whole podcast series about this show, episode by episode. I could do an hour per episode talking about not just what happened in the episode itself, but the theories and theming that brings up and how it ties onto everything else. I would love to have seen the writer's room when they were writing this, because I can only imagine it was, in fact, there's a few of them in the show. You know that trope with the maniac map, where there's a bunch of photos on the wall and they're all connected by bits of string to make sure everybody can see where everything lines up. There's a few of them in the show, actually, as characters start to work things out and who's who in which timeline, all that kind of stuff. Their writer's room must have been floor to ceiling of those. I mean, I just don't know how you possess the brain power to be able to keep track of all of that. I mean, this show is almost a cross between an art installation and about 15 different narratives. And that might actually sound a bit tropey and something that reviewers say sometimes. It's quite cliche to say, oh, this movie is more like an art installation than it is a narrative plot. This has got both. The fact that it's so successful at it just leaves my jaw on the fucking floor. I mean, it is a staggering piece of work. You remember Devs that I rated massively last year?
Uh-huh.
That was also, you watched it as well, if I believe.
Yeah, I really liked Devs.
Yeah. That's also got a timey-wimey plot, and it's got some, it throws up a lot of mysteries and red herrings and where are we going to go next, and I wonder if this means this, all that kind of stuff. This is like Devs with just an infinite layer of complexity put on top of it. It really is just an unbelievable bit of work.
But you mentioned Devs. Does Doc have a Keaton?
Or
Kenton, sorry. Does it have a Kenton?
Well, here's the interesting thing, actually. I was reading some reviews earlier, and everybody loves this show, and I can absolutely see why, because it's just staggering. But one of the critiques that I saw kept coming up is that not many of the characters are likable. And I actually thought that was a bit of a half-assed critique, because it's correct in the sense that there isn't really a hero character to latch onto here, with a slight possibility of Jonas maybe sneaking in there. But the reason why a lot of the characters have unlikable qualities is because they're so well written. Because nothing's black and white. And to mentioning black and white, actually, there is some heavy Christian theology working in the background here. How much of that actually ties into the overall plot is always made unclear, or at least where I'm up to currently. But nothing in this show is black and white, and that's the point. That's entirely what it's going for. Again, we're going back to German nihilism is really what it wants to play with. There's almost a Seventh Seal Ingmar Bergman kind of thing going on as well. I mean, it is that high concept.
I've always really despised that critique. I really have. I always didn't have any likable characters.
I mean, do you need one?
Let's say you're a cinephile and or a TV junkie. I mean, can you actually say with a straight face that Tony Soprano is actually likable? Is he really a likable guy, or is he a really nasty, selfish, sociopathic piece of shit? Well, is Travis Bickle likable?
I always think it's good writing if nobody's entirely likable and nobody's entirely hateable, because that's reality. Or as close as reality as a fictional work should get, I would argue.
I think most people, with any given person, they're not a good person or a bad person. They're somewhere in between.
Mm.
And if a show depicts people as being that, then it's actually mature.
And ultimately as well, what this show is messing with, what it wants to get across, is the utterly bizarre, surreal nature of time travel. And the fact that, if those concepts are correct, we were going into things like metaphysics and quantum mechanics and that kind of thing. Plenty of shows try and cook with those ingredients. This one actually does it to a degree where you think, this makes sense because it doesn't make sense because time travel doesn't. It's the closest approximation I've ever seen to getting the time travel concept right and how much of a head fuck that would be. It's beautifully well acted. It's got a million storylines going on at once, and each one of them has their own merit. It's gorgeously well shot. It's a stunning, stunning piece. And if you want more than that, I don't think any other reviewer is going to be able to give it to you. Not bigging myself up there. I'm just saying that it's virtually unreviewable. Essentially, I have looked into the mouth of hell, Liam, and I have reviewed it.
It sounds like you had a good time.
That's about as difficult as it gets for a TV reviewer. Go and watch it. You will not be disappointed. It is stunning.
Well, I mean, that just sounds completely and utterly irresistible. The way that you've set it up.
Warm fizzes all over, man. It's just got something that I haven't really seen. I've seen it done before, never to any kind of degree of brilliance as this show gets it. It is time travel ad infinitum. It is singular, really a singular piece of work.
Is it one of the best shows you've seen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's up there. I mean, I still think at the end of the year, I'm probably going to rate Giri Haji as the best thing I've seen this year, but I think Dark will be a very, very close second. And that's only because Giri Haji made me cry, which Dark hasn't managed to do yet.
Giri Haji is your favourite piece of television, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. But this is, it's
way up there.
Yeah, it's very close to it at this point. I'm absolutely in love with it. It's just so, so well done. And as German as sauerkraut and bratwurst as well. So there you go.
Oh, well, they make great cuisine, mate.
Speaking of which, actually, it's a good opportunity to finish out the show with some German trivia.
German trivia.
Hey.
Okie dokie.
Let's kick off with this one. Beer plays a big role in German life, and it has done for generations. In fact, the world's oldest brewery is German. Weihensteppen Abbey has been brewing up its own varieties since 1040. Germans also consume 104 litres of beer every year, ranking them fourth in the world. I assume that's per person, 104 litres of beer. Otherwise, I doubt that's number 4 on the list. But yes, German beer.
You ever been to what is it, Oktoberfest or?
No, I haven't, although I do have an Oktoberfest fact. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Oktoberfest does not start in October. In fact, if you show up in October, you'll be more than fashionably late. The inaugural keg always gets tapped 16 days before the first Sunday in October, with festivities usually wrapping up around October the 2nd or the 3rd.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there you go.
So it actually starts so it should be called Septemberfest.
Well, I mean, it ends in October. I think it's got something to do with celebrating the start of October, which makes sense. So it starts before and finishes at the start of.
Yeah, fair enough. Confusing bastards.
Germany boasts some of the world's most famous inventions. You can thank the Germans for the light bulb, the automated calculator, and the automobile. And that's not all. The Germans are also credited for the discovery of insulin, the invention of the clarinet, the pocket watch, television, partly, paraffin, petrol, gasoline and diesel engines, the motorcycle, the jet engine, the LCD screen, and the Walkman.
The Walkman?
Apparently so. I always assumed that was a Japanese invention because I always remember them being Sony Walkmans, but apparently it was invented in Germany.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. It is illegal to run out of fuel on the German Autobahn. That is so German. I absolutely fucking love that. No, you have broken the law. Although not forbidden, motorists are only allowed to stop in the legendary highway for emergencies, and having an empty tank of gas doesn't count. Drivers can be fined and also have their licenses suspended for up to 6 months. Walking or running on the highway system is also illegal and is punishable by a fine of around €100.
Wow.
Yeah. I kind of get €100 fine for running down there, but running out of petrol. This is why have you been so careless? This is your own fault and you will be punished. Yeah? I promised myself I wouldn't do my dodgy German comedy accent on the show, and look at me now.
You fucking racist.
Similarly here, prison escape is not punishable by law in Germany. German law maintains that it's a basic human instinct to be free, and therefore prisoners have the right to escape jail. Escapes, however, rarely go unpunished because prisoners are held liable if they cause damage to property or inflict bodily harm against any individual upon their breakout.
So, hang on a minute. So I take that to mean that if you escape and you don't do any of that shit and you're reapprehended, it won't result in additional years.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sort of thing. Okay,
I seem to remember reading something, I'm pretty sure it was Brazil, that has a very, very similar law that essentially says, look, common sense here, guys. If you were put in prison, you'd try and escape, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, why are we punishing people for this? Why are we adding extra on this? It just means we should build better prisons, essentially. But I love it. Again, that strikes me as characteristically German. It's very common sense and very straightforward. As in, well, of course you wanted to escape. You were in prison. Who wouldn't?
Yeah. You know what? As someone with some admittedly heavy obsessive compulsive traits, I absolutely have a massive hard-on for the insane functionality of the German language, the stuff that they do with all of their nouns and shit, the way that they compact like virtually unpronounceable things to mean very specific things. Oh. Yeah,
it's very straightforward language, isn't it? And very beautiful in its own right. Again, please, I know I say it every time, please don't do the dubbing. Defaults to subtitles, you need to hear it.
Do you know what Backpfeifengesicht means?
No, go on.
It means Backpfeifengesicht. If you say that someone has a Backpfeifengesicht, it means that they have a very punchable face. And I know a few Backpfeifengesichts.
Yeah, everyone knows that one, right? People often associate canals with Amsterdam or Venice, but Berlin outdoes both of them. No city in the world has more canals than the German capital, which hosts 120 miles of waterways. Berlin also hosts a museum dedicated solely to currywurst. That's no surprise, as Berlin natives eat 70 million of them every year.
Wow.
70 million currywurst. I've never had currywurst.
Well,
I've had lots of bratwurst. I've had lots of sauerkraut. I've never had a currywurst.
I won't mention our location, but anyone in the UK, if you've ever heard of the restaurant Steins, or you look up Steins and you're able to locate where it is, if you're able to get to that location, there's actually 2 of them. But if you're able to get to Steins, please go and have some food there because it is fucking outstanding.
German food is very, very good.
All the staff are in lederhosen. You like £5 or £6, you get an enormous stein of beer, and just the food is the absolute bollocks. So one of my favourite restaurants, Steins.
Little plug and promo there, but small company.
No, it's good. No, it's good food. It's good eating. Go and eat.
And my last fact here, and this actually ties into your discussion of the German language. In German, thanks means no. If someone asks you, would you like a drink? And you say danke, that actually means no thank you. But if you say bitte or please, that means yes. So to recap, thanks means no thanks and please means yes. Good luck ever trying to hit on anyone. That's not my addition. That was in the article I took it from.
I love that silly joke,
That's good to know, though, because I would assume if I ever went to Germany and someone offered me a drink, I'd say, oh, danke. Yeah, that actually means no thank you.
That silly joke, guy walks into a pub and he walks past 2 women and they look at him and they look at each other and they go, 9. and he walks up to the bar with a smug look on his face. Goes to the pub. Goes to the publican. I just walked past those two birds and they rated me 9 out of 10. He goes, no, they're German, mate.
There you go. Well, on that note, then we've done beer and sausages. I mean, I'm sorry to any Germans listening. I'm sorry to any of my German pronunciation as well. I do my best.
Well, I mean, I just plugged Stein's. That's places full of beer and sausages.
I think they're very proud of beer and sausages.
You should go there because it's tasty as fuck.
I kind of feel like I should have added more medieval history.
Farmer's feast, mate. You've got all this sausage and meat poured in with a nice fried egg full on top with all this lovely vinaigrette salads.
Oh, man, you're making me hungry now.
Massive Stein of beer. You need to... Oh, God, I could murder one of those right now.
Well, anyway, we can't eat now because we have to go on to the premium podcast. And on the premium podcast this week, Liam, I think you've got some extra takes for us.
I do indeed. I'm actually going to be talking about two British offerings. One is an ongoing TV series and another one is a mini-series that I both watched recently. And I supremely enjoyed and valued the pair of them for their respective reasons. So, yes, I'm going to be discussing those.
Excellent. And yeah, we thought we'd do the second half of the podcast after Liam has done his extra takes. It's the big film out at the moment, James Bond.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it yet. That will be an upcoming review. But we thought we'd take this opportunity to have a chat about Bond, really. Our favourite portrayals, best, worst actors that have played him, some of our favourite films, best villain, all that kind of stuff. Our ideas for potential casting for future Bonds. We thought we'd just finish off with a bit of a Bond special and some Bond trivia.
Yeah, I did read I read like the odds list on some upcoming Bonds and I just wrote down some that I think are very good and some that I think are absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, that'd be good to discuss. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in any of our premium content, please do check out cinementalist.com for a link to our Patreon page. Please do follow us on Twitter at CinementalCast, and you can follow Liam at...
I'm Liam at the movies at Wacko Jacko's Flicks.
Lovely, and I think we'll end it there. Sorry for the huge review, but check out Dark, man. It is a fucking trip.
It sounds like it needs to be done, mate.
You've been watching a lot of TV recently. Get on Dark. I'd love to hear your take.
Yeah, well, yeah. I love the shit out of devs, and if you say that that's devs on, like, you know, if that's devs on adrenaline.
Devs stacked on top of devs, stacked on top of devs, stacked on top of devs. Infinite recursion.
Well, I mean, the 8 episodes of that made me go, whoa, enough. So I can only imagine what this fucking thing is going to do to me.
Indeed. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Hope to catch you on the premium. If not, free one next week. Take it easy.